All right, everybody. Hey, we are back for another edition, and I got some fancy headphones on this time, of Everything Phoenix. We are live, and this is a Christmas edition. Why? Because we're just, 3-4 days to Christmas? Hopefully my kids are not watching because they would kill me if I didn't know the exact number of days, but it's about, 3 days or so till Christmas. And so I hope you guys, I want to start off by saying Merry Christmas and wish every single person a Merry Christmas who is watching this whenever you may watch this, guys. But thank you for joining live. If you wouldn't mind by saying where you're from, and we have people watching us from all over the place, and if you wouldn't mind putting out there where you're from, if you would like to, that'd be great. And if you wouldn't mind, please participate. Ask some questions. Let's get this two-way conversation going because we're going to go deep on some Christmas housing updates for Phoenix right now, okay? So we are in studio and we're going to rock and roll, guys. What we're going to do is we're going to go over a couple of development issues because this would not be an Everything YouTube Phoenix live if we didn't have some development news on what's going on around your city. And we're going to do a market update too. So here we go, guys. We're going to rock and roll. I'm going to share my screen as I always do. And we're going to talk about active listing counts, right? So we're going to pull out the old Cromford report because it's the most reliable source out there possible. But I'm going to take a different spin because if you watch other YouTube videos, you're going to see some Cromford reports. Some other people in my industry use the Cromford report as well, which they should. It's the best out there. But we're going to pull up some graphs that aren't the mainstream ones, in addition to the mainstream ones about what's going on here. This one right here is awesome. It's about active listing counts by square footage range. This is interesting, right? Because you can see back here in 2019, 18 right here, okay? You can see where the different price range is. Because you see the legend up here in terms of, price range, it's square footage, the size of homes, and how many listings inventory would be on the market per each one, right? So you can see over here, now fast forward to 2022, it's no surprise, right, that the size of home that has the most listings in any year pretty much is, 1,500 to 2,000, see right here, okay, square feet. That's what most people can afford, or, if they could afford more, they may not choose to buy more because this is just a practical home for most people, right? So you have that going on right now. You have about 5,000 active listings on the market in that price range. Then as you come up here, you have the smaller home. This is the 1,000 to 1,500 square feet, and you have about 3,800 square homes available on the market. So if you get out of here, you can see all the different colors represent different sizes. As you get down here, you can see in the size between 3,000 and 3,500 square feet, there are 966. Well, actually, I'm sorry, 512 as of December 17th, right, on the market. So kind of a cool graph. You can see back here, inventories pinched dramatically back in March of 22. Inventories pinched dramatically March of 21. So do you see a cycle there? I do, right? I do, as usual. Then you got March 2020, even before COVID hit, right? And there were less inventory on the market too. And then, of course, we had COVID. Everybody took their home off the market, and we had some inventory issues there. And then, of course, demand started piling on as we got through the end of 2020. All right, so that's active listing. Now let's go to this graph here because this is interesting. This is all about monthly median sales price and average sales price, okay? Because both of those depends on which one you like better, right? Both those tell a story. But check it out. If you are a fan of monthly median sales price, home prices are lower now than they were this time last year. There you go, guys. 2021 and 2022 have intersected for the first time in a while. And there you go. Now, if you go to average sales price, it's not as bad, right? They haven't quite intersected, but it's kind of still an understatement, right? Because of this statement right here. The average price point or median price point does not include seller concessions. And what we know right here is the median seller concession amount today is $9,000, which is approximately $6,000 more than December 2021, guys. What's that mean? Concessions are credits, guys. So I'm not sure if you guys, everyone out there knows how this works, but when you are going to buy a house, you can ask the seller for anything. You can ask the seller for a red Ferrari. Throw it in there, right? Put that sucker in the garage and let's buy that in the house. Why not? They can say no, but you can do that. So seller concessions are nothing more than seller credits, right? So what a lot of people are doing now is they're asking for credits when they're purchasing the property. Why? Because it keeps them more liquid typically. You have closing costs with the sale of a property. Typically, if you're getting financing, that's lender costs, that's title fees, and you may have some endorsements as well with those closing costs. Well, if you have to come out of pocket for $7,000 for those closing costs, but you can get the seller to pay for them, so to speak, then that's $7,000 you still have in your bank account. Pretty cool, right? Now that $7,000 could be used for things that have nothing to do with your house, or maybe that $7,000 could be used for furniture or remodeling projects with the property. So a lot more people are now, because you have more leverage, are asking for those seller concessions from these sellers and getting them, guys. In fact, the average is $9,000 right now, which December 2021, the average was $3,000. So interesting, right? So if you take that in consideration, what's that mean? That means you have a situation where really average sales price as well as median sales price have now crossed, and all the appreciation of 2022 is pretty much wiped out. Now, there's a statement about that Cromford makes. I'm going to pull up right now. I'm going to share my screen for you so you can see what I'm talking about. And I have highlighted for you right here in blue. Okay. What that statement says is average price per square foot is at the level we saw 11 months ago. During the middle of January, it is still up 1.2% across the board. Okay. From the beginning of 2022, but it looks possible that by the end of this year, the market will have lost all the gains it made during the first 5 months of 2022. And guys, I'm not sure if you were aware, but at one point, the market from January 1st through May 13th, which was the pinnacle, right? If you watch this show, you know that's the pinnacle from a data standpoint. It was about 21% appreciation for the 5 months. That's insane, right? But it's gone. It's gone now at this point, which we all knew it probably had to happen at some point, right? As many people are moving to Phoenix and businesses and companies are moving to Phoenix, jobs being created, it still can't go on forever. The party must end at some point, right? And that's why the market has always been cyclical from the beginning of time, right? It goes up, it goes down, it goes up again. And that's never changed. So it's just a matter of time. Okay. So now let's pop back over here to the change in monthly average price per square foot. Now we know, based upon the commentary from Cromford, that we pretty much wiped everything out from the first 5 months of 2022, and that we are pretty much equal to where we were a year ago. Okay. But where are the biggest gains? Where are the biggest losses? And that's what this graph right here shows you guys. I think that's important. We talk in generalities a lot, but this gives you the opportunity to, based on your price point, maybe make it an even more informed decision. Okay. So check this out. Under 200 to 225, we still have a 5.9% appreciation gain, if you will. Okay. That's interesting. And guys, look up here in blue. Okay. We are here comparing closed sales prices in the last monthly period to the same monthly period 1 year earlier. And this is only single family home detached properties. Okay. So not condos. So obviously it's skewed a little bit, right? But the majority of the product out there for people living in are single family homes. So check this out. Between 200 and 225, there's still a 5.9% gain. Why? Because a lot of investors are playing in that price point, cash, hard money. And so to an extent, it's not as rate sensitive, because they might just keep the property and rent it out, right? So then you start going 225, 250, and it's negative. Now 250 to 275 is still positive, okay, 1%. 275 to 300, 4.6, okay, and as a negative, and then 300, 350, negative 3.5. So you can see, guys, these price points where a lot of families, or not, maybe single people, whatever it may be, but maybe they fit the demographic where they're first-time home buyers, or maybe it's just a second home they ever purchased, or they have a small family, but they are middle-class Americans, if you will, right? And you can see they're getting hurt the most. Why? Because they borrow the most money, generally speaking, in terms of the cost of the house, right? Not the dollar amount, the cost of the house. So they're borrowing money. They're heavily dependent upon mortgage rates, and so, the kind of disparity here is when the Federal Reserve says they want to slow down the economy, and one way by doing that is slowing down the housing market. And to do that, they got to increase rates. Well, the people that are buying homes over $1 million, per this stat, at least in Phoenix, Arizona, that price point is up 3%, 8.8%, 14.3% between $2 and $3 million, guys, and then 3.3% above $3 million. So raising rates didn't hurt those people. it hurt the people who are, borrowing the most money, which typically are the people, in that middle class area, right? So that's interesting, right? I think it's very interesting. All right, let's pause this for a second. Hey, Lori, how you doing? Thanks for checking in. Hello from cold and rainy Pennsylvania. Yeah, it is rainy. I mean, you know what? Listen, I heard there's a winter storm coming through the Midwest right now. The jet stream has sunken down, and it's going to be pretty bad, right? I'm talking. In fact, I saw one of my friends from Nebraska sent me a little text this morning that said that Nebraska this morning was -13, and the South Pole was -13. So right now, not so great across the country for weather, right? So, all right, guys. So I think this is a really important graph because you know where maybe the best deals lie, right? So, for example, if you're between $800 and $1 million, right now it's up 5.9%. Does that mean you still can't get a good deal on a house you want to buy? Absolutely not. If you get the right agent and you're looking in the right area and you have the right relationships, right, with that agent who knows other agents who are helping people sell, etc., you can find a great deal. But these are, again, generalities, just to know that you have a lot more leverage if you're buying something between $275 and $300, as opposed to something between $2 million and $3 million. Interesting. All right, we're going to pop over here. Monthly medium sales price. We talked about it as well as the average sales price, but these graphs allow you to do it city specific. This is Phoenix. They have intersected. There they go, right? And it's actually cheaper now this time than it was this time last year in the city of Phoenix. I don't know. Let's check out the East Valley. How's Chandler doing? Chandler, you're right there, right? 533 and 520, 530 and 525, right? This time last year. Okay. So you're kind of hanging in there a little bit. Let's go Gilbert. Gilbert, you're above that price you were last year on a monthly median sales price. How about let's go to West Valley? Let's go to Goodyear. Okay. Goodyear above. That's awesome. Good. Let's go to Avondale. Where are you at, Avondale? There you are. Avondale, look at this little spike right here. Not sure what caused that, but that's a nice healthy spike for 1 week's activity, right? And then let's go just check out a couple more, and then we'll move on. Let's go to Scottsdale. Okay. Scottsdale, you're good separation, right? So again, because Scottsdale has a little more higher price points, you see a little separation there because, as we just saw, the higher price points haven't been affected as much as lower price points. Had they come down, absolutely. Look at Scottsdale. They're at $996, $750 right now. Where by comparison, let's go $996 to $1,105,000, right? So it's dropped a decent amount. So you still have room for deals there. Guys, let me show you something really quick and point this out. Okay. Look at the beginning of every year. Now, this is just Scottsdale, but I guarantee if I go back to other cities too, you're going to find the same result. Okay. But especially cities where people outside the state of Arizona know the city pretty well. It's pretty popular, snowbirds, whatever. Scottsdale's one of those. Okay. Look at 2021, the blue, right? Yep. What did it do from January, the first week of January through, I don't know, May? Did it go up or down? Went up, right? How about 2022, January to May? Went up, okay? Let's go January, May. So this is 2019. Now, did it go up a lot? Not much, but did go up just a little bit. It kind of peaked towards the third week of January, oddly enough here, but it did go up a little bit, right? Now I'm going to take a walk on the wild side here because I haven't tested this, so I could be in trouble, but let's just go to a year that was kind of, I don't know, decent, but not as good. 2012. I'm going to take out 2022 to get this graph a little bigger. There you go. 2012, guys, January 1st through May. Up or down? Up. Okay, let's go to 2015. Interesting, Scottsdale, right? Boom. And then it still ended up going up, but there was a little decrease for the reason, 2015 in February. Not sure what that was, but there you go. So, guys, I say all that to say that you're going to see as we turn the page on 2022, Merry Christmas, by the way, and we go to 2023, Happy Holidays, by the way, Happy New Year, right? You're going to see probably the market go up, okay? Rates have, now if rates go to 15% or 14% or 16% in January and February, that could change. Let's be honest, right? Let's be clear about that. Is that probably going to happen? Probably not. In fact, most people are probably assuming that in February, when the Fed meets again, rates will most likely stay the same. No one's really anticipating an increase right now. That could change. I understand that. But the natural cycle of Arizona's market is that from January through May, it typically increases overall. So if you are really thinking about buying, I think I made a pretty good case that if you want to buy between now and say May, I don't know that blood will be completely in the water come May in Phoenix. Now, in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, no offense to Milwaukee, or I don't know, Toledo, Ohio, maybe, because that may not be their height of their market traditionally when it comes to their cycle, right? But in Phoenix, we know this to be true. Okay. Now, I'm going to pop around here a little bit, and we're going to do a little. I'm going to show you this here, guys. And here, look at this. This is of no. This is not newsflash, right? But I'm going to include it in here because I think you guys need to understand that Maricopa County led the nation in population growth. We all know that. But it continues. I'm not saying it continues to lead the nation, but it continues to be a hotbed for population growth, Maricopa County, right? So this just goes down and talks about all the population that was added to Maricopa County, right? And what makes it now one of the most populous counties in all the country with about 4.5 to 4.7 million people now. Okay, let's talk inflation. That was a transition, right? Population inflation. Holy cow. All right, but stay with me because it's all good stuff, guys, right? Inflation. Now, inflation is not gone. I think that's evident by the Fed, right? Raising rates 50 basis points in December, okay? But you look at inflation, that's the CPI is a big measure of that, right? Okay? That's the Consumer Price Index, CPI. And I wanted to show you this graph because I like visuals, right? It's quick hitters, it's visuals. And you can see right now that all items right now is up 7.1% over the last 12 months. And we had inflation in 2021 as well, guys. So it's up a decent amount. And we all know that. We go to the grocery store, we feel it. Food, oh, speaking of which, 10.6%. Energy, 13.1%. And all other items, less food and energy, is up 6%, guys. So we would love to see this go in the opposite direction at some point. But again, the good news is inflation does seem to be leveling off a little bit, although it's still significantly higher than where it was 2 years ago, let's say, right? This is the 12 months. You can see that. So I'm gonna bring that up because I think that's very important to notate. Okay, and thus you see the reason why the rates are doing what they're doing, right? Now, let's go back over here. So I want to show you guys. Okay, rates. Speaking of which, right? Okay, so mortgage rates. There's the reality, guys. Okay. Did the Fed raise the federal funds rate? Yes, they did. But did the mortgage rates continue to decline? Yes, they did. Now, over the past couple of days, rates have basically gone back up a little bit, right? So what was at the 6.13% December 15th, okay, about the time the Fed raised the rates, federal funds rate, 50 basis points, we are now back up to about 6.5, right? So they kind of curtailed back up a little bit, but 6.5 is still a heck of a lot better, guys, as you know, on a 30-year fixed, as opposed to, look at October 20th, 7.37, okay? So the rates are still, relatively speaking, decent. But again, guys, I'm telling you right now, as you know, we have an affordability issue, right? Because right now, the average household in Phoenix is around the $87,000 a year mark, okay? Average household in Phoenix. Now, if you take that on the gross end of it and you take that divided by 12, you're looking at somewhere in the ballpark of, I think, like $7,500, right? I don't have this written down, so I'm just spitballing here. And if you take 33% of that, you're looking at $2,800 or $2,700, I believe, somewhere in there. Rough math, really rough, guys. Don't hold me to it. But the reality is, and what I say 33% is because that's kind of like the factor that most financial gurus say you should try to limit your monthly budget on your housing expense in terms of your monthly payment, right? Whether it be rent or your mortgage payment. Could you go 35% and a little bit higher? Sure, you could. But you remember you have other expenses too, right? You have to pay with. So that becomes, when you talk about rates being at 6.5% or 7% in Maricopa County, that becomes problematic, right? Why? Because for an average family, based on the current median price in Phoenix, for an average family to be able to afford that on the average household number with a rate of 6 or 7% is very, very tough. What that equates to is about a rate of 3.5%. For the median price to stay where it is and not move downward, the average person in Phoenix needs to be able to afford it. And currently, that makes that monthly payment be about 3.5% equivalent to. Well, we're off that by a ways, right? We're at 6.5 right now. So that makes the average price point of Maricopa County tough to stay where it is. So that all being said, it's going to continue to slide most likely until it gets back down to the number where the average household can afford it, the monthly payment, or wages increase. And that increase would have to go from about 87,000, doing a calculator here, to about 112,000 or so a year. So that all being said, rates do need to hopefully come down a little bit more for that housing market in Phoenix, Maricopa County to stabilize. In fact, we said this before, we'll say it again, 5.5% on a 30-year fix seems to be about the magic number for Phoenix area in terms of supply demand to function correctly and somewhat fluidly, right? Now, I'm going to go back over here. Let me know what you think. I'm talking a lot, and hopefully it's good information. Maybe it's so much information, it's just like, I can't even put my mind around it. I don't know what to ask, but by all means, comment, ask. I'd love to hear what your guys' thoughts are on some of the stuff. Speaking of which, let's hop over here to the crystal ball. Okay, look at this, guys. Look at that crystal ball. Looks nice, doesn't it? Looks really nice. Let's talk about that. So what does that mean for 2023? Okay, coming up. All right, so fun and exciting times. Let's see what some of the experts, quote unquote, that were polled had to say about that. Danny Court, who is a principal and senior economist at Elliott Pollock & Co., said he expects housing prices to fall another 10 to 15%. But he says it'll be nothing like the 08-09 housing crash, he said, because home prices have skyrocketed by over 150% in the last 3 years. So a 10% decline only puts us back to May 2021 prices. A 15% decline puts us back to March 21 prices. And guys, we're almost there. We're almost there, right? So his 10 to 15%, correction isn't wild at all, honestly. In fact, we probably need it. Okay. So sellers will need to be patient 2023. So if you're selling a house, okay, you need to be patient. What's another good quote here? We still have an inventory issue in the luxury home market that will not change for some time. Overall, our current market has become a stable, normal market for both buyers and sellers. Days on market will increase for sellers and pricing will stabilize. Interesting. Okay. That's this guy, Scott Grigg, who's a fellow realtor in the Valley. That's what he is saying here. And sellers need to be more patient when selling their homes. Okay. Rod Cullum, who's one of, I know Scott's clients as a builder, he said, the luxury market for homes priced $2 million and higher is still in balance. And he is correct, guys. He is correct. Believe it or not, he is correct. Not because, Rod Cullum is a very smart guy, because it kind of seems mind-boggling, like, could it really be, right? The higher end. But as we discussed on a previous slide, it is. It is that way because they haven't dropped near as much as other price points across the Valley, right? The luxury home market is very strong now because we have a supply issue. That's the biggest thing, okay? And then R.L. Brown, big housing report data guru here, guys, right? He says he expects to see home builders continue to offer incentives and rate buydowns while keeping home prices steady, okay? That's interesting. Now, to piggyback more off of that, let's go over here where it says some of the home building issues and permitting. What do people say about that? And how's that going to affect the housing market, right? Okay, single-family home builder permits were down 19% so far this year. The latest numbers from the Home Builders Association of Central Arizona. All right. What's interesting about here is that we know permits are down. In fact, let's go down here. Let's look at this, guys. Here's a look at permit activity in the metro over the past 5 years. Look at the numbers, everybody. All right. They have increased every year, which is good. Okay. But we need even more because we are at a shortage of new home inventory and overall home inventory in Phoenix. Now, the stats right now, speaking of which, will tell you that we have 19,000 right here, 19,497 active listings on the market. That's healthy. And they will tell you that our supply, let's see, is about 3.5 months. Guys, that's not that much. So 19,000 seems like a lot, and it is, but 3.5 months supply of homes, that's not that much. You need to get to like 5 months or so to be in balance, really 6, kind of. So we aren't, but that all being said, according to CMI, Cromford Market Index, we are in balance, right? We are in a balanced market. In fact, the leverage is swinging more to the buyer side, as we know, overall. Okay. But That all being said, we still are undersupplied in terms of the amount of people moving to Phoenix, especially over the past 3 to 5 years. So let's go back to this article because it's interesting, right? Those are the permits that have been pulled. But Scott here is quoted here on the same article here by saying that, in terms of new construction, people want it, right? And he's correct on that. And what's interesting is he said he sees 33 listings for new construction projects. If you just look at the MLS kind of from a random standpoint, and only of those 33, only 3 are completed and moving ready. So guys, just the opposite of what you had in 2008, 9, 10, 11, 12. You had new home builders with inventory, spec homes sitting on the market that were not selling. Right now, as a random poll, when you look at 33 homes on the market that are being advertised on multiple listing service by new home builders, only 3 of the 33 are actually ready for someone to move in. The other 30, which is a very small percentage, right? The other 30 are still being constructed. And so a lot of home builders are moving forward full steam ahead with their construction. Why? Because by the time because supply chain is still an issue, right? By the time those homes are done, the market and the rates may have adjusted, and therefore it's just perfect timing for people to now dive in and buy the homes. Also, we know people love new construction. In fact, I think he says that in here. We all know that anyways, but the rest are paper specs, right? Meaning they're not ready to go. Okay. Coming out of the pandemic, people want new construction. They want moving ready, and there's not enough availability to handle the current demand for a well-built product. And that is exactly the truth in Phoenix. Okay. Nick, what's going on, man? Thanks for chiming in here. Do mortgage rates affect different cities differently? They do, but not really. And I say that because it depends on the demographic, the average income for that area, right? It all comes back to income. That's what it comes back to, or savings, if you will, even, right? But really income, because it's a monthly cash flow issue. If someone needs money for a payment, they don't have a war chest sitting aside, then they need to have that money, right? So they need the income. And if their income is low, then obviously they are going to have a hard time affording that payment when it skyrockets because rates go up, right? So yes, the answer is true, because certain areas of town have cheaper housing or more luxury housing, and therefore the people that occupy those properties have different types of income, right? So that's a good question. Hey, you have another one here. I wonder who this is. Someone on my team. I don't know who it is, though. Well, thanks for asking the question. From start to completion, what's the average time it takes to buy a new build? I definitely want moving ready. I'm not handy. I got to find out who this is, because we got to teach you how to swing a hammer. No, I'm just kidding. Stay in your lane, right? You're good at selling real estate. Let's say real estate, help clients buy and sell, invest in property and real estate, and help people create wealth through building real estate. And then lead the experts, the GCs, the contractors for swinging the hammer, right? But the answer to the question is, right now, it depends what you're doing. Right now, if it's a luxury custom home, 5,000, 6,000 square feet or more even, you're talking 16 to 18 months on average, right? And that's permitting, and that's getting everything ready to go, maybe demoing a previous, older house that's going to be knocked down. So it's not super fast. Now, obviously, some builders we're doing right now in the Cactus Corridor that we will be selling here that is going to take start to finish about 12 months. That is flying for a upscale luxury custom home, right? But if you're a tract home, some of these builders are able to do it in about 6 months still, okay? But they got to be moving. They got to be ready to rock and roll, and that's still very aggressive. So you're talking on average 9 to 12 months for most properties if you're going to split that down the middle, right? Okay, good question. So that kind of gives you the time frame of knowing, what your outlook is if you want to buy a new build home based upon when you have to be inside a property, right? If you're going to relocate to Phoenix, especially, you don't have any, temporary housing. So good points. All good questions, guys. Thanks for chiming in. Appreciate that. Let's go share my screen here. I'm going to add a few more interesting tidbits. And guys, we have to talk about some things outside of just real estate, right? And so we're going to do that right now because this is the fun part, right? All right. Michael Bidwell, he is the owner of the Arizona Cardinals. He said he's going to work to recruit CEOs during the Super Bowl week, guys. The Super Bowl 57 is coming to Phoenix here in February, and it's going to be awesome. So if you want to rent your house out, maybe think about it. Just kidding, but not really. It'll make a lot of money potentially, right? So, but what he's saying here is that it's a great opportunity to bring and showcase CEOs, owners of companies, down in Arizona, see what it's all about, and maybe they'll move part of their company down here. In fact, this is an interesting quote here. A lot of this is good old-fashioned recruiting. I call it corporate free agency. In fact, check this out, guys. Oops, I hit this button, but I'm going to show you a quote. He says that right here. Oh, we're going to go back. That's kind of a cool one too. NFL announces acts for Super Bowl. But let's go back here. Let's stay on topic here. Right here. At last Super Bowl in 2015, okay, Bidwell hosted 50 CEOs and their significant others at events across, the valley, right? Of those 50 CEOs, 20 of them chose to expand their company to Arizona. Guys, that is incredible, right? That's a lot of increased revenue. In fact, it says $2 billion in capital expenditures and 18,000 employees of high-paying jobs will benefit, right? That's huge, guys. So the Super Bowl is so much more than just a football game, right? There's so much more that comes with it. And if you do it correctly and plan it correctly, which apparently the Arizona Commerce Authority and people like Michael Bidwell, they do that, right? So kudos to them, and hopefully it all benefits everyone else as citizens of Arizona, okay? And then how about this, guys? You may have heard this in the news, but the Phoenix Suns, Mercury, to be acquired by billionaire for $4 million. I'm sorry, I say million. Billion with a B dollars, right? That is incredible. So Robert Sarver agreed to sell the franchise, right? After an independent investigation found him guilty of inappropriate behavior in the workplace. So a gentleman who owns United Wholesale Mortgage out of Michigan has offered $4 billion for both the Suns and Mercury, and apparently it looks like it's going to go through. So, that's the new thing, right? Owning a sports franchise in America is like a pretty trendy thing to do if you have a lot of money. And so they have, $4 billion. I think Robert Sarver, I saw paid like, I'm going to mess this up, but it definitely was in the billions. I want to say he bought it somewhere in the $300 million mark. Don't quote me on that. But point is, it was an incredible deal for him, right? And for pretty much any other franchise owner that purchased in the 90s or even the 2000s, right? Or before, right? So it's incredible what they're worth nowadays. And last but not least, this is a fun one, okay? Guys, check this out. Ownership of Phoenix Pro Pickleball franchise consists of athletes, musicians, and CEOs. Guys, Phoenix has an awesome Pro Pickleball franchise. Guys, pickleball is awesome. Have you played? Hold on. I got to stop sharing my screen for a second. Have you played pickleball before? It is an incredible game, right? If you like tennis, ping pong, it's in the middle of those two, right? And doubles, like if you don't like to move a lot, but you like to be entertained or do something kind of fun, pickleball is your jam. And play doubles. But if you want to move a little bit, singles is great. But it's just such a great game, guys. And now Phoenix has a professional franchise of pickleball. So I don't know if they had tryouts, but maybe you should check that out if you're a good pickleball player. Larry Fitzgerald is one of the owners. In fact, here's the ownership group that bought the Arizona Pickleball Professional franchise. Here it is. Larry Fitzgerald, Devin Booker of the Suns, Dirks Bentley, an Olympian Robert Gary, Sam Fox, who's a local restaurateur, local developer Brian Frakes, don't know who that is, and then you got some guys from the Arizona Cardinals, CEO of Brooklyn Betting, and so on and so forth. Some high profile people, guys. So this is pretty cool. There's 24 teams and $5 million in prize money for 2023 in the pickleball circuit. Who would ever thunk, right? Like this is this is crazy. Other big name owners in this league outside of Phoenix, right, include LeBron James, Drew Brees, Tom Brady, Kevin Durant, Kate Upton, Patrick Mahomes, Chris Everett, etc. But if you want to know who's on the team right now, here are the famous pickleballers that you probably never heard of: Wes Burrows, Sarah Onsbury, Andreas, I think that's like Norwegian, Silstrom, and Sarah Burr. Guys, congratulations. Go get him, Phoenix. Represent Phoenix well. All right, guys, that wraps up our Christmas edition. Oh, wait, hold on. Jordan, pickleball courts are popping up all over the valley, coming soon to Roadrunner Park in North Phoenix. Yes, they are. There are some good ones, guys. Horizon Park, Thompson Peak Park. There are a lot of good public courts in Phoenix. And guys, because it's in Phoenix, you can play pickleball year round. You're welcome. So, it's hot, right? Maybe not in the afternoon in July, but maybe in the morning in July, you can get it done if it's like 6 or 5, right, in the morning. So anyways, guys, thanks as always. This is our Christmas edition. I'm going to see if I can't go live one more time before the end of the year. But I am going to be traveling, so we'll see how that works out. But guys, I appreciate you guys tuning in and checking out our new studio, right? We got some nice quotes up there. We have some Nebraska stuff because I'm a former Cornhusker and some Ironman and some stuff that represents some of my background. But thanks for joining us in our studio here today. And Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy Hanukkah, and all the other ones to you guys and yours and your beloved ones out there and family and friends, guys. Thank you for joining. And as always, Merry Christmas. Thanks for joining. And Everything Phoenix is very grateful for you and your support. Take care, guys. Have a wonderful day.